Hey everybody, this is episode 18 of the You're Doing Great Mom podcast. I'm Dr. Marianne Shiozawa.
I don't think people, when you have a miscarriage, you don't really think that, because obviously miscarriage is quite a sensitive subject and not many women talk about it, you see. So you have no idea that having a miscarriage is actually quite common, you know, it happens a lot. So when you are confronted with a miscarriage, it is very traumatic, and it's definitely one of the hardest things I had to deal in my life. You know, the first thought you have is, oh, what have I done wrong? Did I provoke this? And even that, you know, everybody tells you, you couldn't have, it's nothing you have done. It's nothing to do with you. It's just your body maybe rejecting something that was not viable. But you just try to find the reason. You just want to know why.
In this week's episode, I'm speaking to Lara Martins. Lara is a professional singer and performer and is currently a principal in the London production of The Phantom of the Opera. Lara is from Portugal and studied theater in the UK and has been living in the UK for the last 20 years. She talks about her experience with her pregnancies, including her miscarriage, which, she says, was one of the most difficult times in her life. I'm honored to have her on my podcast, and as you'll see, she really opens up about her life as a mother. Enjoy. Today I have Lara Martins. She is a principal on Phantom of the Opera in London. Lara, thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure.
So, Lara, you were telling me that you are a mother of two children, right?
Yeah, two girls.
Yeah. Oh, two girls. Oh, and how old are they?
So, Matilde is 6 and Alice, she's 18 months.
Oh, that's great. That's a big age gap.
Yeah, it is a very big age gap, yeah.
And so your eldest, Matilde?
Yeah. Matilde.
She helps. Does she help a lot?
Yeah, she does, actually. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, she's the big sister.
Yes, that's right.
So, yeah, it's interesting because your career, you know, it's in that industry, it's quite demanding. And I am curious to hear about how you became a mother. Was it an easy decision for you?
Well, like you say, it is a very demanding career. It is a career that we have to travel a lot and invest ourselves personally and our family as well in it. So it took me a long time to be ready to have a child, because my career is so demanding. It was always... I always felt that I needed to get to places before I decided to have a family. So when I decided to have my first child, I was still quite unsure what was going to happen after she was born, in terms of my career, but, you know, always had the feeling that things would work out for themselves, because it gets to a point where you really cannot wait anymore. So you have to take the leap. And that's kind of what happened with me, really.
So how old were you when you had your first child?
I was 33, yes, when I had my first child. So I just decided to go for it, basically. Yeah.
Cool. And where were you? Were you always living in? Have you lived in the UK for many years, or where did you? Yeah,
I was living in London when like now I've been living in London for 21 years.
Oh, okay.
So I was in London, and Yeah, she was actually born in Portugal,
Oh,
but
okay. Are you? Is that where
yeah,
you're from?
I am from Portugal, and when I had my first child, I thought it would be nice to be with my family.
Mm.
Just that first few weeks that you need, that extra support, and that being my first child as well. So I decided to have her in Portugal, where my family is.
Oh, that's nice. So you had her in Portugal?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Did you, how was the pregnancy?
Yes, it was a very straightforward pregnancy. I worked until I was 7 months
Oh,
pregnant, so
wow.
traveling and being on stage. I mean, I at the end I was only doing concerts really, because obviously it gets to a point where your tummy is quite obvious,
Hmm.
and it poses all sorts of
Hmm.
problems if you're a stage performer. But yes, no, I was traveling quite a lot and doing concerts. And obviously, when you're a singer like me, where it gets to a point where your breathing is quite limited and you just cannot do it anymore. So
Oh,
I,
interesting. As a singer,
yeah,
so you're a
yes,
singer and you're a
yeah,
performer. And so, yeah,
yeah.
oh, that's because your diaphragm was really pushed up.
That's right. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So it gets really hard to breathe. Well, breathe in terms of singing, obviously. Um, so it just gets difficult, and it also is a demanding physical work. So it gets to a point where you can't really do it anymore. Yeah. So, but it
Hmm.
was a straightforward pregnancy. No problems whatsoever. Yeah.
Mm. And was it easy for you to get pregnant?
Yeah, it was very easy.
Mm.
When I decided to start trying for a child, you read all this, everything you can possibly read about how to
Hmm.
do it and
Hmm.
what's the most efficient way to do
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And yes, took all my vitamins and all of that. And yeah, it was quite precise with dates, and so yes, it was easy actually
Hmm.
to get pregnant. Yeah.
Hmm. So you said that you were single. Was that, you mean before you, yeah, you,
No, no, I was not single.
oh,
No,
right, right. Okay. Hmm.
no, 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 no.
Sorry,
I
I
was, I
misunderstood.
was, no, no, I was already married when
Right.
I had
Okay. Yeah.
until, yeah.
Cool. So yeah. Okay. So it was fairly easy for you to get pregnant, and the pregnancy was straightforward.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the in Portugal. I'm not. I have no idea what the birth culture, so to speak, is in
Yeah.
Portugal. But is it different? Do you find that it's different there than here?
Well, it is a little bit different in the sense that things are a bit more medicated, medical assisted.
Mm.
We don't have, I mean, they don't really have this concept of the midwives. Obviously, it's nurses that are trained in childbirth. I don't really know how to call it. That are with you, and there's always a doctor, and so yeah, the things are much more medicated. There's not much. There's nothing like a birth plan, for instance. There, you
Mm.
don't. You're not really. That's not really a tradition there. Let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and also, women. I mean, maybe things are changing a little bit more now, but I think women are quite happy to just have an easy process, an
Mm-hmm.
epidural or whatever. I mean, so that's not things like, for instance, home birth are something that it's really not done in Portugal. I mean, maybe a little bit more now, but it's still not as popular as for here, for instance, here in the UK. Let's say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And even in the UK, I think it's very it's not common either.
yeah, yeah,
I think that more in Norway or
yeah.
Sweden, it's much more common to have home births. But
Mm-hmm.
even in America, where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
it's home birth is really not that well known, or
Mm-hmm.
even the concept of midwife is no, it's medicalized as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think that across the Western culture is the norm,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah. And so most of your pregnancy you were working and you were traveling, but then at the end
Hmm.
of the pregnancy you you went back home to Portugal.
Yes, I
Yeah.
went back home, you know, at the limit where you're allowed to fly, basically.
Mm.
So I just went there and, yeah, and stayed there for maybe 2 months
Hmm.
after Matilda was born. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Did your husband
Hmm.
go with you?
Yeah, he was there on and off, obviously.
Mm. Is he also Portuguese?
No, my husband is actually French.
Oh, oh,
So
cool.
it's a little bit of a mixture. But yeah, no, he was going there, you know, staying for a few days, weeks, coming back, going back, you know, because obviously for his work, he couldn't be away for 2 months. So,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, of course. So how was your birth?
my birth was not as easy as my pregnancy, actually. So I end up having to have an emergency cesarean, and so that was a bit difficult. And also my epidural didn't really work, which
Mm.
meant that they had to give me a general anesthetic, which meant that I couldn't really see my daughter being born, which was a shame.
Hmm.
But, you know, I mean, obviously at the time it's what the doctors had to do and to make sure the baby was okay. So, you know,
Hmm.
I'm very grateful and for that. And I actually
Hmm.
very grateful to the hospital and having been there, I think it made a huge difference because, you know, who knows what could have happened if I was not in the hospital, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
What was the problem? What was the reason for the emergency C-section?
I had a very long birth, and it was just not developing in a normal way, and therefore the baby started to be distressed very quickly.
Mm.
So, and things start to go bad quickly. So I had to have a very quick intervention. So there was
Mm.
not much time to, you know, give another epidural, or, you know, the baby had to be out very quickly. So that's what happened. Yeah.
Hmm. Did you start labor naturally? Did you go into
Yeah.
labor? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I did.
And
Yeah.
and then was it early on that they gave you the epidural?
Um, um, not very early on. I mean, I think I was close to the limit where you can take an epidural. What
Mm.
is it? I think, I don't know, 5 centimeters. I don't know. I'm
Hmm.
not sure anymore.
So how many hours were you in labor?
I was, well, the beginning of my labor lasted for a few days, actually. You know,
Oh.
it was always this thing of going to the hospital and coming back home because it was way too early to stay there. But, you know, and I was on that early labor stage for a few days. And then, well, a few days, maybe 2 days,
Hmm.
one and a half day, maybe. Um, and, um, and then things finally started to progress, but it just stopped at some point. It didn't really progress anymore. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Hmm.
And then that's when
Yeah, that's when the baby started to be
mm,
quite distressed, and they
mm,
decided just to that they needed to take the baby out. Yeah.
were you how many weeks were you
Full
what
term, full term.
so was it just around your due date or was it like
Yeah, yeah,
41
it was.
weeks?
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
You didn't go
yeah,
over that
maybe
much.
39 weeks,
Right.
49, 40 weeks.
Okay, I see. I see. You weren't
Yeah.
you weren't overdue.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um so then you were under general
Yes,
anesthetic.
yes, I
Wow.
was.
So and then you had to be put into recovery before you were able to actually see her.
Well, when I woke up, they gave me the baby straight away. I'm not sure how long I was knocked out. But they gave me the baby straight away. And I remember at the time I really wanted to have the baby with me for as long as I could, because obviously I kind of missed that first contact with her, skin to skin. So, and also they were also, they wanted the baby to have that as soon as possible as well. So as soon as I was awake, they gave me the baby straight away and just gave me skin to skin. And I kept the baby all night with me because I really wanted to be with the baby all the time. So I made sure someone was there supervising us, but I was with the baby all the time.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And was your recovery, how was it, just bonding, your recovery and then bonding? And did you choose to breastfeed at all, or?
Yes, I breastfed the baby straight away. And that really, I didn't feel like obviously at the beginning I felt really that I missed something by not seeing her being born, and that kind of played on my mind for a little bit. But obviously, that's what needed to be done at the time. But I don't think that created any bonding problems with myself and the baby. I bonded with her straight away. I mean, the moment I had her in my arms,
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So you were sharing and just telling me that was it difficult for you to get pregnant again, or what? If you can share about your second pregnancy.
Well, so I chose to have a big gap in between pregnancies because obviously my work, it's quite demanding, and I needed to be sure about having another child and if I had the logistics in place to cope with it. So we chose to have a big gap between my first and second. So when I start trying for second baby 5 years later, it was quite easy again to fall pregnant, but unfortunately that pregnancy ended up in a miscarriage. So, yeah.
And how many weeks?
It was quite early, so I was, I think, around 5-6 weeks. But it was a miscarriage, so it means that I would have all the symptoms of a pregnancy, nauseous, etc. And it means that I only found out about the miscarriage on the routine scan, which was quite traumatic. Yeah.
So you because you were planning to get pregnant, you were very you were conscious of every single cycle. And then when
I knew it, and now obviously you can have all these pregnancy tests that tell you that you're pregnant pretty much 2 weeks or when your period is you can know very, very early that you are pregnant. So I knew it very early on, and then obviously we were very, very happy. And I just went for a routine scan, an early routine scan, which, I paid for because I wanted to make sure that everything was okay. And actually this was 10 weeks later, but the baby had stopped. Yes, the baby had stopped growing at 5 weeks, but my body was still acting as if the pregnancy was normal. You see what I mean? That's what they called a miscarriage, because it's when your body keeps reacting as a normal pregnancy, but actually the baby is gone. So I found out at 10 weeks that my baby had stopped growing.
And so the baby's heartbeat was...
There was no heartbeat.
There was no heartbeat. I see.
Yeah.
And they what's the word I'm looking for? They timed it, meaning the age of the fetus was 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Approximately.
Approximately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's with this sort of miscarriage, I believe it's quite common. Is that your understanding as well, or
Early miscarriages, you mean? Yes. I mean, obviously, I don't think people, when you have a miscarriage, you don't really think that, because obviously miscarriage is quite a sensitive subject and not many women talk about it, you see. So you have no idea that having a miscarriage is actually quite common. It happens a lot. So when you are confronted with a miscarriage, it is very traumatic, and it's definitely one of the hardest things I had to deal in my life. The first thought you have is, oh, what have I done wrong? Did I provoke this? And even that, everybody tells you couldn't have, it's nothing you have done. It's nothing to do with you. It's just your body maybe rejecting something that was not viable. But you just try to find a reason. You just try to find a reason. You just want to know why. What have I done? What could I have done differently to have a different outcome? So, I mean, it is a very traumatic, and I don't think it doesn't matter how early the miscarriage is. It's always something very difficult for a woman to deal with. I mentioned before, obviously now, because women can know so early on that they are pregnant, they obviously understand when a miscarriage happened. I mean, maybe in other days, where women didn't have this facility, they wouldn't even know that they were pregnant and they were having a miscarriage. Probably was just a heavier period, you see. But now that we know, I mean, I think women are very aware when they have a miscarriage. But it's a very sensitive subject and they don't like to talk, which is completely understandable. I mean, I think for me, it gave me great comfort when I was trying to recover from my miscarriage, to know that actually this is so common, and talking to other women, we had the same experience, because then I didn't feel like I was some kind of freak or I had a problem, So every single time I spoke to a woman and she said, oh, I had one as well, I kind of felt, a relief, a comfort. Oh, really? I remember reading all these blogs where other women share their experiences, because it really helped me to get over it, as much as you can get over something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're very lucky to have that right now, because you can just Google and then find hundreds of blogs and stories that women have shared, because I think that for women who, for me, I've never had a miscarriage. And so I think that it's just as common to find a woman who had a miscarriage, and women who don't know what that is like. And also equally women who have chosen to have an abortion, for whatever reason that was. I think that it's so untalked about, and your search, I can imagine, is quite lonely. I'm like, until you meet with somebody and, in talking, it's like, oh, well, I had one too. It's like, it's just kind of random discovery that, other women have had it. And yet it's such a common thing. And, I can't imagine, like, for you to, on an emotional level, to search for that reason. And that's natural for us to do that. Why?
Yes. And also I think, And also, I must say, I went to a few meetings of the Miscarriage Association, which also gives great help to women who have suffered miscarriages. And that was also quite a big help for me, you know, to be there sharing my experience with other women. And yes, I think, you know, all this search is also, and all this trying to speak with and share experiences with other women is also a way of giving us hope, you know, that we, despite the fact that we just suffer this loss, we will be able to conceive again, you know. There is, you know, so I was constantly searching for that hope, you know, because when you lose a pregnancy, you kind of want to defeat your body. You want to, no, I'm going to prove you that I can do this. You're almost, you know, you're almost in an obsession to get pregnant again. And, you know, so.
And that's how that's what, when you had hope and when you felt some kind of validation, that's what you were feeling. You felt like, oh, I'm going to show you, my body can do this. Is that what happened to you?
Well, I mean, obviously I wanted to have another child desperately. And when I had a miscarriage, I just, the only thing I was thinking really was, I want to get pregnant again. You know, I want to try again. I want to, you know, it was this mixed feelings of really wanted to do this, and at the same time being so scared of this could happen again, you know? Because I think when it's very, when you have a very easy pregnancy, and obviously, and all the women that never had problems in their pregnancy, never suffered miscarriages, pregnancy can be a very naive thing in the sense that, you know, when you look at that pregnancy test and it's positive, you think, oh, great, I'm just going to have a baby, you know, because, you know, you just had a pregnancy that was completely normal, nothing happened, everything was great. And so you think, oh, this is going to be the same thing again. It's not until something goes wrong that you understand that are actually quite a lot of things that can go wrong. And then, you know, becoming pregnant again, it's actually very, very, very stressful, you know. So.
Yeah, that's interesting the way you say it's naive, like a healthy pregnancy, or even a young woman who's first becomes pregnant. There is a naivete that goes. There's just you don't know that there's so many factors that that come into play,
which is great, you know, which is absolutely great that, you know, you can just feel like that, you know. But obviously it does not happen if something had happened to you, like a miscarriage or any other problems in pregnancy, or perhaps a difficult conception. I don't know, but obviously that's what happened to me when I got pregnant the third time. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I'm just curious because there is no way to find out why. I mean, actually, I think that it's pointless to even just go down that path, asking why. But was there anything, like, were you stressed at the time? Were you working a lot?
Well, I mean, I was working a lot, but I honestly don't think that would have contributed in any way, because I mean, I always worked a lot in all my pregnancies, you know, always had the same kind of lifestyle, so nothing really changed, you know. I mean, they can't really explain, especially when it's that early in the pregnancy, why it happens. I mean, it's obviously your body, you know. It's interesting because the first feeling you have, it's, oh, my body failed me. But actually, your body might not have failed you. It might be a way of your body saying, you know, this is something that is not viable, and therefore, you know, it's just not it just not doesn't progress. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, your body's designed to
Yes,
to be healthy and also to carry a healthy fetus. And so,
yes.
yeah, it's that's the way to look at it is through life and health and vitality. So if
But
your body,
it takes a long time for you to understand that when
yeah,
you had a miscarriage.
yeah,
You just blame your body,
I know.
yourself. Yeah.
It's just which is so it's just like an automatic human
Yes.
nature to do that, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
And so you've really learned so much about yourself and your body, and just having to go through that really put you in this state of discovery, really. It
Yeah.
sounds like there's so much discovery that occurs in something like this, to
Yeah.
experience something like this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Which is, in I always look at the life in a positive way, and I think that at the time, I'm sure I wouldn't want any person to experience that type of heartbreak. I can imagine that it's such a heartbreak to experience something like that. And then coming out of that in the long term, everything that you have, it just sounds, just what you've been saying to me, everything that you have said sounds like you have really become so strong and courageous in learning about yourself through this experience.
Yes. I mean, you have. I always try to turn any experience into a positive one, and I mean, I think obviously loss is part of life, and I mean, there's not. Of course, I still think about it, and it's been something extremely difficult in my life. But you just have to move on, I suppose, and that's what I try to do.
And so, for your daughter, your second daughter, and were you able to get pregnant easily after that?
So they always advise you to leave a bit of space for your, a few months before you start trying again, just to give your body a chance to, rebuild, just
Yeah.
rebuild itself, I suppose.
Oh, and was it when they discovered? Sorry, I interrupted you. I forgot to ask you. Was when they discovered that the baby, the fetus, had no longer was no longer viable? Did you have the procedure done, or did you just have a natural miscarriage?
No, I had to have a procedure done.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because my body was not rejecting fetus, so I had to have a procedure done. And everybody was amazing at the hospital, really caring, and just very human. Very, I had a good experience in that sense.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That must have been very tough.
Yes, it was. It was very tough. Especially because, I mean, I chose to not have a general anesthetic to have the procedure done. So I was awake all the time, which is it's hard. But
Yeah. So you basically had to give birth to the baby.
well, at that early stage, it's not really like that.
Okay.
It's they just take it out. I mean, it's not like, I mean, obviously, if a miscarriage happened later in the, obviously that's what happens, but not when it happens so early.
Yeah. So then how long did you wait until you got pregnant with your daughter?
So let me think. Around 3 months, and then I got pregnant with my daughter. So I was quite lucky and blessed that everything happened so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I was on a mission. I read and took every possible thing, did every possible, everything that I would hear that would work, I would do it. I mean, I have no idea if that had any influence or not. Probably not, but that's what I did anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, and then I got pregnant with Alice, and it was a mix of being so happy, but also really, really scared. Of something like this happening again.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think just in general, I think all women when we're pregnant, it's like there's this whole thing with the first 12 weeks, some people don't even tell the close family until week 13 or 14.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
and then I think that feeling is even more exacerbated if you have suffered a miscarriage, because you know that it can happen again. So yeah, I mean, I would say that I never really relaxed in the whole pregnancy. Maybe right at the end, after you passed, I don't know, 26 weeks, where or 30 weeks, when the baby, even if the baby was born, it would be, it would have a great chance of survival after 30 weeks. I can't remember anymore exactly the week, but anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, it was a very stressful pregnancy
Because of your fear.
Yeah, because I was very worried. I mean, the pregnancy was completely fine. It was just my fear of something. Every scan was nerve-wracking. Which I think it's normal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then so you went full term with Alice?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had to have the cesarean again just because. The same thing happened basically.
Okay.
Yeah, but because everywhere, Alice was actually born in the UK, and everybody was aware what happened with my first pregnancy, so that they were aware that maybe the same thing might happen. We didn't really let it get to that stage where okay, we need to take this baby out now. So as soon as the labor was being really long, and as soon as we thought that, okay, yes, you're really not progressing. So, I had another cesarean, but this time with an epidural. So that made a big difference.
So you were totally,
totally awake,
Yeah.
saw being born, and so
that's nice.
A completely different experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And did that help you? Yeah, that I can imagine. Just to watch your baby being born.
That was great. Yeah, it was really great. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And is there like, I think that our babies have, they're all different, and their personalities are very much, for me personally, it's almost like I kind of could tell their personalities when they were inside me. Do you think, or do you ever have you ever thought that, I mean, I don't know, the question is like, have you ever thought that the way your pregnancies and births were, is there something about your girls that, I don't know, are related to their experience, like their births? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, actually. I never thought about it, to be honest. I never really thought about it, but maybe.
Yeah.
Well, let's do one of those in a few months.
Yeah. I know.
I'm not sure.
it's my experience. I mean, I'm speaking just from my experience, but then I've also had conversations with other mothers where, you know, just the circumstances and the way that the pregnancy was, the way that they were born and, you know, whether they were on time or premature or, you know, I don't know, like there was no skin to skin or, you know, there's so many different, like different types of births. And then, you know, like what's interesting, what made me think of this was like, okay, so because they've done, I mean, I'd have to look for the study, but they've done these studies where, you know, the baby, once you have, with every pregnancy, with every fetus that you carry in your uterus, there's going to be some of the baby's cells, like the DNA in it's still inside of you. So it's almost like Alice has a part of that, your baby, your second pregnancy, from the second pregnancy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and also the fact that because it was your second birth and it was very different, you know, like your relationship with your girls, you know, like, I don't know. It's just, it's all very interesting stuff to think about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really thought about that, but obviously, I mean, with the second children, I think as a parent, you're much more relaxed. And I think maybe that always transfers to the child as well, you know. Yeah, I mean, usually second babies are more relaxed. Very often we hear, oh yeah, you know, he's much more relaxed than the sister or the brother. Maybe it's because we are actually more relaxed as parents. Maybe, I don't know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's really interesting, and I think that it is something that, well, and nowadays I think, of course, with the internet and blogs and women sharing online, you know, and if there's another way that women can do a search and listen to, like actually listening to you tell your story, from your mouth, I think it's really helpful for so many women, you know, so I really appreciate, I'm very grateful for you to be able to share.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure.
And are you finished? Are you done having children?
Yes. I think I'm done having children now. We're very happy with it too. And I think we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually like you just know, right? You know?
Yeah.
And do your girls, how are they with, they must love, you know, knowing that their mother is this professional performer, singer, or do they have your talents too?
I think, well, Alice, she's very young, so she doesn't really realize anything. But I think Mathilde, it's been part of her all her life, so she doesn't really think it's that special, you know. I mean, for her, it's kind of normal to go to a theater, or being in my dressing room, or, you know, or having, you know, playing with costumes and nice props, you know. It's just, she's been doing that all her life, so she doesn't find it that special.
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe, she's young still. Maybe like when she's 12.
Maybe,
you know, because
maybe.
Especially, I mean, I don't know how long. Well, you've done clearly. You've probably done many things in your career, but like, you know, when she actually understands the enormity of Phantom of the Opera, you know, she'll be like, then she'll be like, you know, a teenager, and she'll be like, yeah, you know, because
maybe. I'm keeping all the photos, so she can.
That's great. I mean, the music in itself is just, it's down in history. I mean, I can if I can have the tune being hummed and I know it. I think
I know it's incredible. It's been on for 31 years. Every night sold out. It's just really
is it really
phenomenal.
Sold out every night? Wow.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
that's incredible.
It's a great show. Yeah.
So, if you can, if someone wants to look you up or reach out, you know, like a mother, maybe she's a young mother or a young pregnant woman or a woman who is young and has had a miscarriage, you know, if they wanted to ask you a question, or just from curiosity, just to reach out, where could they look you up and reach out to you?
Well, probably if they go to my website, laramartins.com, there is an email there where it will come directly to me. So it's not going to go through any agent or anything. That is a directly email to me. So if they just click on that link, it will automatically open an email page, and they can write whatever they want, and that message will come directly to me.
Oh, thank you. That's great. Yeah. That'll be, I'm wondering if, they'll just reach out and, but that's awesome. And they'll probably be curious to see your work. So, as I am.
So it's www.laramartins.com.
Great. Lara.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking
You're
the
very
time.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to go check out Lara Martins at Her Majesty's Theatre London on The Phantom of the Opera. Also, you can send her a message on her website, Lara, Lara Martins, MARTINS.com. Please be sure to subscribe to my podcast. You're doing great, Mom. And please, I would love it if you write a review. Pop over to my website, yourdoinggreatmom.com. Remember, it's YOURE. Send me an email. Let me know what you think. And next week will be another special guest episode with my husband. His thoughts and posh British accent always entertains and makes an interesting listen. See you next week. I'm Dr. Marianne Shiozawa.